There we go. Yeah, maybe you can hear me. Had the damn mic muted. It makes noise every time I touch that thing. I try to keep it muted. And there we go. Thank you, Clint, for sending me a message. Let's see here. Let me. Nope. I'll do it this way. So it'll take me a second here. Bear with me. Eventually, I'm going to have me and Clint both send them so we can get them all out at one time. That'll work pretty well. So let's see how many they let me do. Maybe if I can't get them all, Clint, I may send you the names of the ones I couldn't get. I'm up to Morgan. Why the hell why did it do that? Well, that's crazy. There we go. Let's see how many I've got so far. That's good. Dang on it, did I do that one? I lost track where it was. Yeah, I did get that. All right, good. I'm going to make sure I get that one. What in the world? They're all mixed up. Let's see. Bear with me, y'all. Oh, I didn't get that yet. Hang on. Yeah, distilling tradition. We are they going. So that's where we stopped. Let me open up the rest of these and let me see what's next. All right. Stopped. I'm just going to leave it right there. Yeah, we got some out. I didn't get that one. I don't think to that group. I think that's where it stopped right there. Yep. That's a pretty good group. Wayne's group. So we'll leave her there and come back and get them in a little bit. Remind me at 9 o'clock to send the rest of them out. What's going on, Patty? It's good to see you, brother. Oh, we got it on now. Hopefully, y'all can hear me now. Going on, O'Shane? What's up, Steve? Yeah, good. It makes Saturday nights a little funner, don't it? Actually, that's what Philbilly was talking about doing. Is making a distillery and getting it legal and everything, creating a clubhouse for the militia and putting a little micro distillery in there and licensing it out and allowing members to come in there and run their own jars. Of course, you have to be a member of the club, a paying member of the club, and everything. But come in and do limited runs of your own jars and stuff. That would be, we've talked about that. It'd be pretty cool. What's going on, Mr. Baker? Good to see you, brother. Yeah, Clint's in the house. What's up, Clint? What's going on? Seen it on YouTube and Facebook. Good deal, man. Is one of them a little laggier than the other? Usually there's one that's like a second or two behind the other one. What's going on, brother? Good to see you. I need a drink. I know that. That damn. Oh, shit. Drink some of that Derek shine. That minute stuff's going to be gone before I know it. If I don't slow down. I forgot to put the damn staves in it, man. I was going to do that last week. I think I'll mix his and Joe's together or his and that other mix that's already combined. I got the 50-50. Put those two together and put some staves on it. It's good stuff. Damn good stuff. So what's everybody got going on this weekend? And for those of you new out there, welcome to the Distilling 101 podcast. It's Q&A podcast. If you got any questions about distilling, mashed in, making some wine, beer, this is the place to come ask it. Especially wine and distilling. Any mashed in, making whiskeys, brandies, tequilas, rums, about anything, we can help you out. And for those that don't know where we are, you can find us on Facebook at DIY Shine and stuff. Or, well, now it's DIY Shine. All right, here's the banner up below us here. And DIY Shine and Steel Building or the Moonshine Militia. And we're also on YouTube at Philbilly Moonshine 7356 or on YouTube at Moonshine Militia. So you can come in to any of those, but best to join the militia if you know somebody in there. Tell them you saw it from the page. But DIY Shine and Steel Building, it's a pretty good sized group, and me and Clinton admin and moderate that, and it's got a lot of and more files going into it every day, and answer a lot of questions, and come in there and find you some decent recipes. Been hearing about dried fruit as a good source of flavor. Actually, dehydrating the fruit before you use it as an infusion is a really good thing because that fruit's got a lot of water. It's watered down. A lot of your fruit's got a lot of water in it. Of course, like a watermelon, even probably the most watery fruit that you can't even taste the flavor hardly. But once you get all that water out of it, it's a lot more concentrated, right? So, yeah, dried fruit is a really good way to get your flavor to carry through. Going on, JJ? Good to see you, brother. Yeah, my comments weren't scrolling. What's going on down there in Houston? Good to see you. The Dougster. Yeah, we're talking about it. We have to go, of course, through the legalities and find out what's going to do. But that's Phil's dream, to open up a club and buy a place where we can all go and stay and spend a weekend or a week or whatever, and run there, party there, hang out there, and do some personal jars out of it. It'd be pretty cool. I mean, right now there's a lot of places that you can go, small distilleries that are, it's not easy opening up a distillery and not having a whole lot going on, because it's to sell whiskey and bourbon. It's going to take a couple few years before you can even get your first product out, unless you do the MGP or something, and just buy buy whiskey from somebody else, put your name and put it in your own bottle. But so a lot of them are allowing people to come in and bring their recipes, and they'll do the run for them, and uh, and put their name on the jar, for a fee, of course, and make a limited run of vanity shine. Everybody wants to have their own jar, so that's a pretty good way to do it. I call it vanity shine. But it'd be pretty cool. I'd like to see a jar with my name on it too. Apple pie. I'll be running some soon, brother. That's the, I guess that's the competition we're having at Farm to Bottle this year, is apple pie. So those that don't know, so clear apple pie. What's going on, Mr. Shadow? Good to see you, brother. He's a little bit behind. Yeah. Got some nefarious shit going on, don't we all, man? That's good. What's going on, Steve? Good to see you, brother. You must be busy, man. What's going on, Glory? Good to see you, brother. I've used raisins, in quite a few things. Raisins. A lot of people like talk about using them for nutrients. They really don't provide you the yin and fan you need, but they do provide some supplemental nutrients and a good mouthfeel and some flavor. So, I've used raisins in the past when I thought I was getting some nutrient value out of it. Then I did more research on it and realized that it's not giving me much nutrients. There's some vitamins and stuff that you're getting, but it's just not the yeast assimilable nitrogen and the free amino nitrogen that you need, the yan and fan. So, it's a good supplemental thing, kind of like the tomato paste doesn't have the yan and fan, but has some other things. But unlike the tomato paste, the raisins will add some pretty good flavor. And I guess the tomato paste, if you're making something, if you're going to make a vodka or something and use it for, it'd probably be all right because you're getting a lot of that taste out. But I can't imagine, using it on brandies and stuff. But yeah, brandies, raisins are good. Corn. Hey, I tell you what, I found a good deal on corn. Mine got 4 ears for $1. It's the 7 for 7 deal. Pretty damn good. Peaches and cream. So I got, but all that I got all the rest they had, and I had to go back and get more. But I'm not. I'm using it to eat and maybe make a an infusion with. But I won't be mashing it in at that cost. Been playing in the World of Sea Battle. That's cool. I've been playing little Arc Raiders lately myself. It's pretty good little game. My daughter and I get on there and play and have a pretty good time. In fact, last night when I got off the shit show, that's where I had to go. I promised to try to play at 10, so I was a little bit late, but not too bad. It's a lot of fun. Heck yeah, man. That's why we're here. You bring, got any questions, it's come here with them. We'll get you lined up. You want to open your own? That's cool, man. That's a great goal. But do definitely do your homework. So you can be a great distiller, but you got to know business as well, and you got to be a little bit of an attorney to go. If you try to do it all yourself, grassroots, you got to do a lot of different things, and it's really really tough to do. If you're a micromanager, it's really really tough. So you definitely need to try to get some help, legally getting your patents and license and all that stuff, and your permits. I mean, and license and all that stuff, and get your name copyrighted and all that good stuff, and getting everything in order, and marketing. There's so much. You can be the best distiller, open up a distillery, and if you don't have the marketing and get it out there, and you don't have any distribution or any way to get it out there, it's a tough go. It's really tough. I don't want to discourage anybody, but I want people to go into it with their eyes wide open, knowing all the angles that they need to hit. There's a lot of distillery, and don't buy new equipment. There's enough distilleries, going out of business, and auctions every week. I see auctions on, several different sites, and, you can get, pennies on the dollar. You can buy a lot of that equipment, at an auction, quite a bit of them for sure. But yeah, if you study your business and marketing, marketing seems to be, and distribution are probably the two most important things. You can have an okay product and have really good marketing and really good distribution and do real well, where you could have one of the best products out there without the marketing and distribution, and you don't, you won't be able to sell it now. But figure out a business plan. If you want to kind of do it small, and have kind of a town thing. If you talk to the people in town, get your permits, and get people in town, and the community behind you, and maybe have a, check your state laws. Some places will allow you to have a little bar on the premises where you can just sell your own stuff right there. Some states prohibit that. So you may shop states and find the best state to open up in. There's so much difference in between each state and what they'll allow and what they won't allow. It's crazy. So do some research, and you may end up having to, be a lot easier to open it up in a different state, and find a community that doesn't have like a small distillery that will allow you to open up a restaurant and a little bar, and attach that to the distillery, and kind of combine it all together and sell your own liquor and wine and beer there. It'd be pretty good if you can find a place to allow you to do that, because it'll certainly make it a lot easier, especially if you're trying to market a bourbon or a whiskey, because that's going to have to age a couple few years in barrels. So you got to have something that you can sell immediately. Some making some vodka or something like that, and being able to market that you can you know bottle up immediately and sell, or some rums and things that don't require aging. Um, that would help a whole lot. But yeah, we're here, man. Anytime you got any questions, we got people, help here, works in distilleries. We got hundreds of years of experience on this page, So jump in here with any question you got, and we'll definitely help you, brother. We've got several distilleries that watch us, and several that's opened up, and that come here for a lot of answers and bring their questions, and a couple down in Texas, a few other places. So that's awesome, man. We love it. Yeah, it's gardening season. I've got a dude, and I need to give him a call. I buy plants off of him every year, and he gets them for like $1 each, and I get good size, good tall established plants ready to go. I do it myself, but hell, it's $1 each, man. It saved me a lot of time and trouble. Just let him do it. you know, Pepper plants, tomato plants, man. He's got all kinds of different poblano and jalapeno and bell peppers and banana peppers. I do it all, man. And you got a bunch of different varieties, tomatoes. Yeah. I got me a couple little beds. I put some radishes and onions in. It's pretty fun. I enjoy it. Yeah, let's see how red we can get that nose tonight. It's definitely gonna get redder than it did Tuesday. I don't feeling real good Tuesday. I didn't drink much. But I'm feeling a little better tonight. I had my days, good days and bad days. It seems like every time I eat, I get sick. Human Z's. That's what we are. My dang ring tang. That dude called Tom. That's funny shit. I'm gonna have to have another shot. Dang ring tang. That's the fella that came in here and accused me of saying shit about his wife. I don't talk about him or her. What's going on, Mr. Palin? Glad we found out last night, though, that there's a good barley maker up there close to Mr. Palin. Or Palin, as he likes to say. It's Palin. Sarah Palin. Palin. He does spell it different. If it's my name, I'd say I'm Palin. I'd say I'm Sarah's cousin. Yes, sir. Bad decisions in a jar. I love me some peaches and cream, man. Silver Queen, is really good too, but I don't see it around much anymore. But I like me some Silver Queen and peaches and cream. Those are my two favorite. Yeah, we do, don't we? Oh yeah, I need to get it. I've got to get my solid state relay for I got a 9,000 watt element, man. I'm gonna be able to boil water in 20 minutes in a big old pot. I got me a big old pot I'm gonna put it into. But 9,000 watts, man, about 50 amps. It'll be I'll be boiling water in no time, man. I hate sitting there waiting on that shit to get boiling, man. I'm not patient, man. I've got everything done and ready, and you just sit with your arms crossed, waiting, looking at the water like watching paint dry. It's like I don't like it. So we're gonna put the electric to it. What's going on, Joey Hatch? Good to see you, brother. Yeah, there are. And the Supreme Court just made it a little bit easier. So if you want to now, a lot of people think that when they said making home distilling legal, that anybody can do it at home, and that's not true. You still have to, through their ruling, you still have to get a permit. It's just that before that ruling, nobody could distill at home, even if you went through all the licenses and all the procedures and everything. You still couldn't do it at home. You'd had to do it in a storage building or a separate building or somewhere else, but you definitely couldn't do it at home no matter what. And that's what they ruled that was unconstitutional, saying you couldn't do it at home because that was limiting the government's ability to tax it. And then the whole reason for them doing it was to make a tax on it, so it wouldn't make sense to limit the ability to make a tax. It kind of was contradictory to itself, so they declared it unconstitutional for that reason. So you can legally distill it at home if you still get the permits. Now, there's a federal TTB permit that you have to get. And once you get that, it's all about the states. So some states do allow you to distill at home. I know, like Missouri, up to 100 gallons per person. If you have two people over 21, it's 200 gallons, and that's as much as it gets. And there's several states that have that. And can't remember where it was. Maybe Maine. I was talking to somebody in Maine, and theirs was 24 gallons. And like West Virginia's 100 gallon, or no, it's 5 or 10 gallons, I think. Not very much. So it's anywhere from 10 to 200 as far as I know. And I think a couple states have that 200 gallon limitation for two different people. So that's pretty good. That's a couple of barrels each. That's a substantial amount. But then again, you got 5 or 10 in West Virginia. At least it's a step in the right direction. Maybe it'll be a lot easier for them to increase that limit than to change the law entirely. So it's a step in the right direction for sure. But yeah, there's a lot of hoops to jump through, and it's a lot of paperwork for sure. You good, brother? I'm not behind yet. Vodka and rum and clear to start with, and get into aged. Yeah, that's what you got. I mean, you can start your mashing and do your whiskey and bourbon runs, and every other run maybe do that and start putting them away in barrels, and then do some rum and some vodkas that you can sell immediately. That's definitely the plan, to do it that way. And even maybe, if you like gin, put you some botanicals together. A lot of people are doing some interesting twists on, traditional gin. They're eliminating a lot of the juniper and going with a lot of florals and other, herbs and spices. And so, that'll be interesting too, making up your own, little combo gin. And that's pretty popular these days. And I'll tell you another thing that's real popular these days would be to, make some vodka and then just create a juice, some kind of specialty juice or something, and mix it and sell it by the can pre-mixed. Seems like the younger generation like that. They're on the go. They'll drink a little bit, but it's got to be on the can ready to go. And, there's fewer and fewer people into the bourbon these days. So that's why a lot of distilleries are changing their lines. I'm getting a little frog in my throat. I'm gonna have to feed it. But they're changing. They're taking down the lines and they're going with either a high end bourbon that they can get more money out per bottle. So they're kind of changing from high production with low cost to a higher cost, lower production model to adjust for this difference in demand. Yep, and there's some people that are getting away from juniper berries. Ocean, they're trying a lot of different botanicals and a lot of different florals and citrus. So sky's the limit when you're making the gin. But it wouldn't hurt to put just a touch of juniper, just to give it a little bit of a note. But that's always been my drawback. I was never really into the real heavy juniper gins, but I've tasted a lot of different floral gins and citrus based gins that were pretty good for me. I mean, it's all opinion, when it comes down to that. I've not done peaches and cream, man. That's too good to eat, man. I just soon run the yellow dent. Now, I tell you what does work well is taking sweet corn and pureeing it up, and cream corn and pureeing that up real well and using it in an infuser. That works real well. But with yellow dent or with a good heirloom corn, I'd say probably one of your better, the truckers corn. They got, there's white truckers corn. It's a dent corn, but it's really popular. It's a little sweeter than a yellow dent. And a lot of people really swear by that. Tom and them got a bunch of it in. I think Phil and them's probably going to have some for sale, but it's a real good heirloom type corn to run. But it's yellow dent, nothing wrong with it. It's good cheap corn. That's the beauty of it, man. You can make good liquor. Some of the best, some of your best bourbons and whiskeys are made with yellow dent corn. Pappy and all those, they don't use heirloom corn and all these high end. Well, I mean, I guess some of them do. Kind of a craft distiller might use some heirloom in their high end liquors and their high end bourbon lines, but most of your high end bourbons use yellow dent. So you can make liquor with yellow dent cheaper than you can buy sugar and make sugar shine. It's cheaper than sugar shine. So that's definitely the way to go. Yeah, that's what I don't like about it, man. I sit here and think about all the damn things I should have done or coulda, woulda, shoulda. Yeah, I'm at that stage. There's a lot of mistakes I made. Oh yeah, yeah, it does turn out good, but it's just so expensive, man. I mean, a quarter an ear, and that's cheap. Most of your peaches and cream, I mean, their normal price on this is like $5. So it's like a dollar something a year, that's crazy. But it's on sale, if you get the 7 deal. So, but yeah, it's really expensive, trying to buy good sweet corn. And if you're a farmer and you got hundreds of acres of it, yeah, you can make a go out of it. If you're a distiller and you have lots of farmland and you want to grow heirloom and sweet corn and all these different things, and you can grow the shit out of it without any cost other than just your time and fuel for your tractors and stuff, then absolutely. But to try to go out and buy it, buy sweet corn and then make a go of it, unless you got a really good in with a farmer, it's tough to do. But it makes excellent liquor. It's just expensive. So yeah, that's the first step, is definitely do your federal, and have, before you do anything, you need to have an area established and the building established, and if you own property, that's a big plus. I'd highly recommend putting it in an LLC. That'll limit your liability. Say it 10 times drinking, but it'll limit your liability pretty much, a lot. So open up a little LLC, transfer that little tract of land that the building's on, and kind of get it out of your name. That way, somebody can't sue you for it and get it. Yeah, it was Maine that we were talking about. But yeah, just um, yeah, it'd be best way to go. LLC, and just get your building. That way you can give them all the information. There's going to be certain requirements, doorways, to the distillery from a place, a tasting room or other things like that. They're really picky about a lot of different things, and having people going from one place to the other and limiting that. I know John Bentz had to jump through some hoops on doorways, and he had to change a few things up. So, and they'll come each time and do an inspection, and instead of saying, okay, here's the list of everything you need to do, they'll come and say, oh, you need to do this. They'll leave, bill you and leave. And then they'll come back to see what you did. Okay, so I see you did that. Oh, well, you need to do this. Then they'll just dime and nickel the shit out of you. So I think that's kind of wrong. They need to kind of come in and just go over everything that you got, and tell you everything that you need to do, and eliminate a lot of the bullshit. Now, some of them won't do that, and some of them will. If you know somebody, I hate to say this, but if you know somebody that's a senator or a congressman or something like that, and kind of get that involvement going on, it can smooth things out a whole lot. Shouldn't be that way, but unfortunately it is. Cinnamon is great in the vapor path. Just want to use very, very little of it, because it's very strong. It's one of the, like clove is another one. There's certain things that you can put in the vapor path that's very, very strong. So like when you're doing the botanicals for a gin and you want to add some clove, I mean, you add one one clove at a time, right? Until you get where you want to be, because they're really strong. Well, actually, it wasn't a split decision. The original decision was with the plaintiff, and the government are the ones that filed the appeal in that sixth district, and that was an appeals court. So that was in Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but it doesn't just appear to the Hobby Distillers Association, uh, with it being a constitutional issue. The only way they're going to change it from now would be to go to the Supreme Court. So basically, they're saying it's a constitutional issue. And if that's the case, I don't think it would just apply to that district or the Home Distillers Association members. I'm not an attorney, so I could be wrong. But again, it's just to enable you to distill at home legally. You still require the paperwork, though. Yeah, it does well, but you don't want to use much of it at all. It's very heavy, so you don't want to use many. It's unless you want to make the you know, red hot vodka, red hot whiskey, because it's very spicy. It carries over very well. Cool, cool. Well, you got your big column and everything to do your vodka. You need to get that next. Get your big column, multi plates, and get your still set up, and you can run you some 190 proof is what you by TDB standards. I guess that's be above 190. So to get that, you need a pretty good little column and maybe a deflator at the top, and that'll definitely help you. If you need any help, just ask questions, man. I can pull up some pictures and show you what you need to do, and help get you on your way, brother. We've also got recipes, all kinds of different recipes to share, and we'll help in any way we can, man. Oh yeah, Alan makes some really top notch gin. Yeah, he's got the what is it, the Ginger's gin, or yeah, he's got a lot of interesting stuff. I tell you, Lisa Lowry has some really good gin. Um, she sent me some of her gin, and I've never been a big gin person, but hers is really good. It's got a lot of florals and stuff in it. And I'm trying to think of that Pratt lady's name. She was on Master Distiller, and they had her on Big Easy had her on his show, and I'm trying to think of what her first name is. But she supposedly does a really good gin as well. I chatted with her a little bit, and I'd like to bring her on sometime. She's a real nice lady. Fireball, yeah, that's what I was trying to think of. Yeah, yeah, you can definitely make you some Fireball with some cinnamon. It's not hard at all. In fact, if you got an infuser and you want to put few sticks in there, you can get her done real quick. Oh, yeah, that'd be interesting. Bloody Butcher. A lot of people like Bloody Butcher. I couldn't think of that the last week. Um, the Jimmy Red. Also, a lot of people prefer the Jimmy Red over the Bloody Butcher. It's just according to what you want. Bloody Butcher's got it's oily, more oily and earthy. Uh, but some people like it for that reason, and some people don't for that reason. So it's it's there's a lot of good choices out there. But getting into the heirlooms gets expensive. So I can I can make a corn liquor with just regular yellow dent and use some of that cream corn in the infuser and some sweet corn. And man, this is some of the best corn liquor you'll ever put your lips to. And man, heirloom corn will touch it. Now that Trucker's Pride stuff's real good too. Yeah, it should get things happening real quick. Yeah, I'm gonna get I guess a solid state relay to run on it. Yeah, that'd be the only way to do it, JJ. Well, not the only way, but most profitable if you're going to try to make a go of it. Cornstalk juice, yeah. And I mean, there's a lot of people that just chop it all up like silage, just use it all. Um, I, I, I've not used the juice. I have seen a lot of people use carbonol, and I've seen people just make corn cob shine, just the cob, and eat the sweet corn and use the cob to make the wine and I guess corn cob brandy, maybe I guess you'd call it. Well, the ceramic rings are more for reflux, right? So it gives it something to condense on and reflux on, and kind of inhibits the steam from just moving on up the pipe and out. So it kind of restricts its flow, and when it restricts it, it hits the surface of these ceramic rings, and it just creates a bunch of passive reflux. And will help increase the proof and gets it to condense, drop back down, and redistill. So anytime you do that, it helps thin out and make it a little finer. But it's not going to remove any sulfites. So if you're looking to remove sulfites and sulfides, whatever, from your distillate, you're going to need to use copper. But the ceramic rings work well for just that. And there's also some ceramic out there that is a molecular sieve, and it'll basically allow alcohol through, but not the water, right? So, um, it can increase proof dramatically by pouring it through what's known as an alcohol or a molecular sieve. All right, appreciate it, brother. Yeah. It's there's been some, and there was one out of Texas, and I think it was heard in Louisiana, if that's one we're thinking about. But yeah, it's definitely going to, any step in that direction, I think, is a good step. It's opening eyes. It's telling us that, it's something that's being considered now. I figured it would be legal to home distill long before it would be legal to grow weed in your own home, but I guess that's not going to be the case. Um, but it's a good step in the right direction, and I do see some more challenges coming soon, especially with the Hobby Distillers Association. I think that's the next step, is maybe streamlining the process to get a TTB, a permit from the federal government, because I mean you're able to do hobbies, and as long as you don't produce income, I mean it's like a home garden. They can't say you're evading taxes just because you're distilling your own liquor, because unless you're selling it, right? So then they'll say, oh, we'll just distill and it's evading taxes. You're not paying taxes on it. Well, that's the same thing with growing a garden. I'm not paying taxes on those vegetables and on the food. And there's other things that you can make your own furniture. You're avoiding taxes on the furniture store. That's just a stupid thought. So that'll get shot down pretty quick. But yeah, it's a step in the right direction, and it's getting interest out there, and I definitely in the next 5 to 10 years, I see a lot of states kind of following suit with Maine and Missouri, West Virginia, and Alaska, and maybe not Alaska, a few other states out there. And if you do want to find the legality in your state, please don't go to Reddit or just do a regular Google search and listen to Facebook comments and all that on whether it's legal or not in your state. Either consult with an attorney or go to your states.gov and do some research there, because that's where you'll find the facts, right? And that's where you really want to go. 15-gallon pot, awesome. Well, I'll show you a good little. Let me see here. I'll show you a good little column. It's a 4-inch, be about right for a 15, and you could probably upgrade a little bit to, maybe a 30 on this 4-inch as well. But it does a real good job. They're not too expensive. I think they run about $250 or so. And again, you could put it on a lot of different things. So you could, you can upgrade, and you could go with something like this, and it's got a pretty low weight to it. Now there's some others that are made with like teas. They got little sight glasses in them, and I'll show you that one next. But these are around $250. It's 4-inch, 4-plate, and those do real well. And you put a deflator up on top of that, and keep it active reflux onto those plates, and they'll scrub it pretty well. And you can that right there make you pretty good vodka on 15 with the deflator. And if you didn't want that, you could go with something more like, let's select all files. I don't know why I have to do that every time. Something more like this. In each of those sections there, that's more like a T with the sight glass in the T. And inside there, it's got a little copper plate on the bottom of each section there. So that's a 4-plate, but there's a lot more weight on that. So you'd have to, have you a pretty sturdy base or steel to handle all that weight, whereas the glass one, a lot less weight in this one. But both will work equally as well as the other. No, it wasn't Sunkissed. Mina Pratt was her name. Mina Pratt. And it was on the end of my tongue. I couldn't come up with Mina Pratt. And she was on Still Talking maybe a couple of months ago. But yeah, I think she did gin on the show, and she's a legal distiller. She does a lot of work, and gin's one of her specialties. And she was talking about the florals, and we talked a little bit about doing some distilling under vacuum distilling and retaining a lot of floral notes, and that's something that she's experimented with a little bit as well. I've experimented with that, and really to make a good floral gin, that's something that you definitely want to research, because a lot of these notes are real delicate notes, and it's kind of like in the marijuana industry as well for the terpenes and get all the flavors that you want. They use this vacuum distillation method, and when you can boil things at lower temperature, right now, pure ethanol will boil at 173.1 degrees. Now, I'm not saying your mash will. That's a different story. I'm talking about pure ethanol alone. So if you put it under a vacuum, you can boil it. You can make it boil at 100 degrees if you have it under several atmospheres of vacuum. And when it boils at these lower temperatures, these low temperatures don't denature the flavor, and it doesn't ruin or cook out the flavors of a lot of these floral notes that usually get lost at higher temperatures. And the same with a lot of terpenes and flavors and a lot of the in the industry. So something that's definitely going to be more of an interest. That's definitely the future, especially for botanicals and things where you have really delicate flavor notes. I've not heard that. I have not heard that. I have no idea. I'm checking the time. I'm gonna have to see if I can find a little. See, that's the only thing I don't like about this microphone. Is it every time I can't even just touch the cable without it making a lot of noise. That's my only complaint about it. Other than that, it's a jewel. But my headphone cable, it makes a lot of noise. Oh, you talking about the anime? I thought you were talking. I thought there's some kind of compound or something they were putting in there. I didn't know what the hell glider one was. I'm like, what the hell is this? G1 sounds like some kind of genetic shit they're gonna put in there. No, I don't know anything about that anime stuff. My daughter can tell you all about it, I'm sure. Oh, you talking about glycol or? Yeah. I mean, yeah, you could use rinse your gravel off and use just regular limestone gravel, but I might put a little milkiness in it. I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of things you could use for just reflux, passive reflux. Glycerin. Yeah, anything that's got starches, anything that has lots of starches or any kind of sugars in it. Um, but I tell you that there's not necessarily free Oshin, but um, look for. I know there's an outfit out of Illinois, and I wish I lived closer to them, called Aldershock, um, and they have a lot of fruits and vegetables, but they'll put out like a whole flat of strawberries for $1. Like 32 of the packs that you normally pay $3 or $5 for. They'll have a whole flat of them for $1 or a pallet for $10. And they sell a lot of volume, and they get a lot of fruits and vegetables. And they, instead of just, it's kind of the middle place between getting tilled back into the ground or fed to the hogs. It goes there, and kind of a secondhand store for fruits and vegetables. Some of them might have a little mold on them or something. You kind of pick them clean and clean them up real good and use them. And yeah, it's finding one of those would be awesome. I'd love to just set up a brandy shack right next to these people and just buy off of them and just start making brandy, legal brandy. Oats, gingers, or carrot mash. That sounds pretty interesting. I know oats. I use a lot of oats, ginger, and carrot mash. That'd be pretty interesting, man. Give it a try. It will definitely work. I mean, ginger, I'm not sure about having much. That would be more for flavor. But carrots, I think, have a pretty good amount of starch and sugars in them. So let me check, see if it's on my chart here. Let me pull my chart up. I'm not sure if carrots. I don't have all these memorized. Let's see if it's on this chart here. Let me see. I do see carrots down here. 4.7 grams. So it's just a little less than a strawberry, but more than a lemon. So yeah, you can get you some sugars out of that. Not going to be a lot, but I'm not sure starch wise. That's just the raw sugar content. Now I'm not sure how much starch that would be and versus just pure sugar. Let's see. Yeah, they're not real starchy. 1.4 grams per 100. So most of that would be a sugar ready to go. But yeah, you could definitely get some good flavors out of both of those, along with the oats. Of course, we know oats work well. But you definitely want to get some of that Seb Visco. Is that what it is, Clint, for your oats? Because it will get real gummy on you if you just do all oats like that. I'd say maybe doing a little corn to add to that and give it some um, extra sugars and a lot lower cost to help it along. Maybe add corn to that mash would be a good idea. But then again, it might mess up the flavor. But yeah, it sounds interesting. That's one of the beauties about home distilling is we can do a lot of small batch experiments like that and just try and see, come up with something new. But that sounds like good, like a carrot cake almost, doesn't it? Hell yeah, it will. Yeah, I thought so too. It sounded like a good little carrot cake or something. Yeah, they got a little bit of sugar in them, Clint. Not much, but well, I mean, but more than about a little less than a strawberry, and they ain't much. But it'll add some flavor, and it wouldn't be a waste. Oh, absolutely. A lot of tinctures were isolated back in the old days from just either just soaking it in alcohol or distilling them together. Absolutely. Yeah, that'd be nice, man. I think once it starts becoming a thing, you'll see a lot of other states follow suit, especially once people start calling their senators and once they start getting a lot of phone calls and you get groups like that Home Distillers Association together and push a lot of members, hundreds of members, thousands of members to start calling because once these senators and congressmen start getting thousands of calls, they open their eyes, right? So that's almost as good as money, right? Say because they're seeing votes, and that's really what they want. What's going on, Frank? Good to see you, brother. Yeah, well, I mean, you can stack these. You can just stack as many of these as you want to, and actually lower weight. But if you had a good sturdy steel um, or some kind of support from the ceiling, you could run these, as far as you wanted to as well. But you'll see right at the very top of this, there's that 4-inch deflegmator, right below the thermometer there. So, getting you a good 4-inch deflator or reducing it down and going into a 2, there, which is what I plan to do, then you can do that as well. Um, but yeah, this is what you see in most commonly, and then in larger, this is a 4 inch. They go, big with these. I've seen a lot of, teas. It's basically just a tea. But I've seen them 12, 16, 24 inch, and they're huge. But once you do get that large, you can make your own, with just sheet copper, and make it round, and then just weld in your ferrules, on top, bottom, and one end of the side, and cut down a lot on your weight, because these are made to handle like 300 psi, and they're made for industrial use, not for distilling alcohol, but for high pressure gas and other things. And they'll handle like 300 psi, and we deal with about 3 to 5 psi. So this is way overkill for what we do. Right. And with that, I would definitely, recommend you can go with sheet, and make your own teas. It'd be a whole lot cheaper. And you can get the sight glasses. They come in and they just try clamp in, right? You can just buy them pre-made, and they'll fit right on that ferrule. So you just weld in or solder in a 6 inch ferrule on the side of it, and you could go a lot bigger, with sheet copper and ferrules. You could make any size you want, and it'd be lightweight, and we just don't really need that kind of thickness and heavy dutiness, but they look good. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you, man. There's GW. What's going on, buddy? Uh-oh. Back to work. Ah, damn. Yeah, you was telling me you're going to have to work tonight. I do remember that. Yeah, that's something. It's a good point for people. What using a hydrometer. Back in the day, we didn't have hydrometer. Well, they had them, but they was just expensive, and I didn't have any. Didn't have any. I like your little logo there too. That's pretty cool. But we so when you're doing the mash, we didn't have the hydrometer, so we just go on taste, and when we started out, we'd know pretty much, and once you do it a few times, you pretty much know by looking at it. But learning how to do the taste, and put your hydrometer in there. Let me get this out of the way, so people can read. But getting your hydrometer in there and checking it, and then tasting it, so you can kind of taste that sweetness. And then when you think it's done, drop that hydrometer in there, and then also trying to guess and then taste it to kind of, train your palate to taste these sugars. But really having that hydrometer is really key these days, because I'm not real good at tasting, sweetness. Sometimes I think, oh, there's still some sweetness to it, and I drop hydrometer in there and ain't shit. And vice versa, I think, oh, there ain't none in that, and drop the hydrometer in there, and of course there'd be a little bit more to go. But can't go by the bubbles really, because you're going to get bubbles coming off, CO2 getting kicked out, oxygen even getting kicked out from reactions that are going on that have nothing to do with alcohol production. So it's best to not go by the little bubbler. I know it's nice to listen to, and it'll definitely let you know that it's working early on for sure. But a lot of times people say, "Oh, it quit bubbling." Well, that's a good sign that it's done or stuck. But sometimes it'll still, burp a little bit from that time to time, and it's not really working anymore. It's a lot of times it's done. So having that hydrometer really helps a lot. But when you use hydrometer, taste it and see what you got, and kind of go by that for sure, and kind of train your mouth to taste it. I don't know, a buddy of mine made some brisket shine. Old Justin Meredith also made some taco shine. It's damn good. Appreciate you, Tom. Yeah, anytime, brother. Hey, we're on here Tuesdays and Saturdays at 8 Eastern time. So unless I'm at a festival or doing something, we'll definitely be on here every Tuesday and Saturday at 8 Eastern. So for anybody getting into the hobby, anybody into the hobby, working at a distillery, whatever, yeah. Yeah, this microphone, man, it'll pick up everything. Look here. That's me just touching my little headphone cord. Yeah, my seat. That's the squeakiest chair. I need to get me a new chair. Hell, the damn wheels falling off of the damn thing. Are you? I wish I could be there, man. Tell everybody I said howdy, and I wished I could be there. I just can't. I can't. I'm getting too old to drive there. I'm getting narcoleptic, Frank. I'll be sitting around doing nothing. Next thing you know, I'll be just asleep. Just out of the blue, and just I've done it driving a couple of times. I'm good for a couple few hours, but after that, I mean, I've woke up and running off the road and stuff, and I just can't. I'm scared to death that I can't drive real far anymore. So I don't want them hearing that they'll take my damn license away. But I can't drive long distances anymore. Have to have Ann drive me or get me a chauffeur or somebody. That's why I need to get me a little Swedish chauffeur. Don't But yeah, it's tough, man. I don't have anything to do to stop it. I've got apnea, sleep apnea. So maybe when I start doing the CPAP, it'll help that. They say it's part of the sleep apnea, and so we'll try to get it fixed and where I can drive. But yeah, I'd love to be there, man. See old JB and John and Tracy and everybody. Yep. Love to be there. Tom and Damon going. They'll be there. Yeah, you think that'll work? Yeah. I heard some news in Illinois. Some cops got shot or something up there today. It's crazy up there, man. Yes, sir. Yeah, if you can, that's the best way to do it. If you know a peach grove owner or something, when I lived in Florida, I knew Mac Varn that used to own Indian River Grapefruit Company, and hell, if I'd have made grapefruit shine, I'd been made, had it made then. But if you know somebody has a peach orchard or something, you can. And that's where I grew up, peach orchard. But if you had somebody that owned a peach orchard or an apple orchard or anything like that, and just allow you to come in and pick up anything on the ground, just say, don't pick anything up off the trees, but anything on the ground you can have. And a lot of them will be that way because it's pretty much you just have to fight the yellow jackets off to get them. They don't want to sell them when they're bruised, and that's perfectly fine for peach brandy and wine because once you ferment them, that's basically what you're doing is controlled rot, controlled decay, right? Breaking it down. And so, having somebody that owns a apple orchard or a peach orchard, awesome for sure. Or good farmers that grows yellow dent corn. You back up a pickup truck and they'll fill the back of a pickup truck for next to nothing, man. They'll move that conveyor right over and drop that truck down to the jacks, man, and load you up. A lot of people take totes in there and they'll fill them up, barrels, anything you want to take in there, they'll fill them up and charge you a song for it, man. Did they have them as a vegetable instead of a fruit? I never noticed it. Yeah, they do. Yep, they are fruits. Yeah, you can use actually with bananas, and there's some fruits that have enough starches that you can use amylase enzyme on them to help break down those starches and get even more sugars out of them. And plantains and bananas are one of those. Yeah, Visco Seb or Seb Flow TL, either of those with your oats. And if you do a high, percentage oats, high percentage rye, high percentage barley, any of those, that type grain, use you some Visco Seb or some Seb Flow TL, and it'll help break those up real well. And how your corn gelatinizes. So does your grains, but it's a little bit different. It gels up, but it's different, than the corn gel, right? And these help those out a lot too, just like your high temp will help with your corn. Yeah, just add it raw, grind it up, chop it. There's a lot of different ways, that you can just grind it up and put it in there, mash it in just along with the other adjunct grains like you would anything else. And on the chart, it tells you, about the temperature. Let me pull the chart up for you here. And let's see. Let me get you out of here. Let's see. Oats. So you want to put them in at about 147, 145 to 7. When it gets there, right at the bottom of the green sterification range. But yeah, put them in when it gets to that temp and just let it slowly, cool, and you'll get the starches and sugars out of that just the same as any wheat, barley, anything else. And anybody want any of these charts that I've got, we've got those in the DIY Shine and Steel Building page and the Militia page. So just go to the very top of the page on Facebook and click on files. And we got a lot of files and recipes and a lot of other stuff in there that are real helpful for you. Yeah, there's a lot of starches in plantain. Yeah, like I was saying, there's certain fruits that you can use that are pretty high in starch, and a lot of people don't realize it. But when I don't know how they making their potato vodkas and stuff, but they were surprised when I told them, yeah, you just use your amylase in that like you do corn or anything else. And they're like, really? And yeah, that's how you got to break those starches up, and you use the same amylase and it'll break those up. And they said, well, let me try that. They've been using, I guess, sugar and potatoes, which is fine. And so they started doing it that way, and they got a lot more starches and or sugars out of it, and had to use less and less sugars. But well, sweet potatoes, regular potatoes, yeah, using your high temp amylase or your powder if you got it, it's best to use that high temp. But yeah, yeah, you could malt your oats. Yeah, no, sure you ain't blocked. We see you, brother. Yeah, it definitely hold the heat well. Sometimes too well, man. You wait for that damn steel to cool off so you can. But yeah, you got to get you some welding gloves or stuff so you can, take your tri clamps off and open up valves and stuff like that on your steel because they get hot. They hold that heat. They sure do. All right, let me see if I can send some more of these links out now. Let's see here. Where was I? Did I send one twice to Morgan's? How did I just do one too? I don't know how that happened. Well, we'll see if we can share it to more groups now. Where are we at? Let me see here. This is going to be fun. Figuring out where I stopped. I think we're just going to do it right there. We'll start there. If it gets posted twice, I'm sorry. I'll go through after the show and try to clean them up. Oh, dang on it. I keep forgetting. And if I missed a group that I usually send it to, it ain't on intentionally. It's I'm trying all these different things, and it's hard for me to keep up with where I've shared it, where I haven't, and it's eventually I'm gonna have me a little template set up for me and Clint where we can just go in and do our 8 or 10 and each and be done with it. A few more and I'll be done. I think I might. Did I get Shine On Family? Let's see here. Scroll down. Yeah, maybe not. Let's see here. Let me send it there then. Oh, Roger Dingy's page. Or I'm sorry, Roger Hendricks. All right. Well, that concludes that. Time for drink. Let's drink something else. I'm going to drink all this shit. It's going to be gone. God damn, my honey shine gone. That's some of Joe Swish stocks. Good stuff. It's a little, maybe it's got a little higher proof to it. About 110. Spicy. Yeah, they won't let you have him hydrometers in prison with it, brother. Hell yeah, man. Fat washing. Did you just say shrimp? Oh no, man. I don't think so. I mean, shrimp's good to eat, but the smell of it. Have you ever smelled your fingers after eating shrimp? I don't know about that. I don't know. See, I don't know. I do know that they've made some of the crawdaddy shine. Who is that? Make some of that crawdad shine. I don't think so. Might be diabetes. Yeah. You know that song too? I don't know, man. They got a bunch of German shepherds running around. They might. There you go. A little peach, some fat wash, a little peach boy. There you go. What's going on, Brian? Good to see you, brother. Oranges and grapefruit. Citrus, that's a tough thing to ferment. It is. That's a tough thing to ferment. That it's been done. Yeah, ferment some rice. Yeah, make you some of that sake and soju. Use that yellow label angel yeast on it. That's what it's really intended for. You can cold mash that rice in and convert it. There you go. Cleanse on the ball using that code. Wile. For those that don't know, when you see that Wile we talk about, that's yellow label angel yeast. And angel makes a lot of different yeast, but this yellow label is for distilling, and it's got its enzymes built into it. And it's a fungus based, and it does pretty good. Yeah, a little citrus shine, a little citrus gin, man. A lot of people making some citrus gins, GW. But I'm not sure if they're starting out with oranges and grapefruits though, but they're using it the infusions, right? The essence of I think they shave off the peel and just shave off, like they do in cooking, and they just kind of, I don't know, take a little grater to the outside and use that in their botanicals, and it carries over a lot of flavors. I know I hate spell check too, brother. Yeah, let me put that back up there for you. Let's see if I can do that a little bigger for you. Let's see. How about that? Let me get this off there and get that off there, and you might be able to get you a little phone screenshot of that. Take a picture of that with your phone if you need to. We also have this file in the Moonshine Militia and DIY Shine and Steel Building page on Facebook. It's in the file section, and if you need it, get up with me on Facebook, and I can send it to you in Messenger or something. But that's a real handy chart, to keep on your phone or something. Quick reference when you're, doing your grains, knowing when to add your grains as it cools down. It's pretty good. Now corn, you're definitely going to do it at a higher temperature than what it shows here, unless of course you're using the powdered amylase. But if you do, or like a malted corn, but it's going to take a long time to do it 175 like they have on here for waxy corn. It's when they say amylose free, that means it's not malted corn, but it's still at 175 degrees. It's going to take many, many hours to gelatinize. Whereas if you take it on up to 190, 190, 200, steeping with water at that temperature and hold it there for 90 minutes, you'll get a lot more gelatinization and a lot better results that way. So if you're doing like a 10-gallon mash and you've got 20 pounds of corn, start with 7.5 gallons, and then keep 2.5 boiling to the side, and every 15 minutes or so, as it cools off, add a little bit more boiling water to add to it to keep the temperature at 190 plus, and it'll gelatinize for you in around 90 minutes to 2 hours. You'll know when it gelatinizes. So just keep adding that hot water in, and because you don't want to do it all at once, because it's harder to do, but you can do it like in a cooler, and it'll hold those temps up. Or you can just cook it, but you do run the risk of scorching it when you cook it. So you got to really constantly stir it up. Or if you have a double boiler, you can do it that way, and you don't have to worry about scorching as much that way for sure. Lots of different ways to do it, but give you a chance to copy that. And again, if you want to join us on Facebook at DIY Shine and Steel Building, you can download that and most all these other charts that I use in that. And let me get the comments back up there for everybody to see. And I tell you what, I've had some grapefruits when I lived down in Florida. Again, I was Mac Barn from Indian River Grapefruit. They'd also grew some of those ruby reds. I'm telling you what, the fresh grapefruit that I ate in Florida that was fresh. Now, a lot of times for up north and everywhere they ship to, they'll pick it while it's still green, and it'll ripen on the way. You don't want it that way. But if you let it ripen on the tree and pick it ripe, oh man, they're sweet as can be. Actually, the grapefruits down there were sweeter than the oranges we get up north here, right? Fact, they're very sweet. In fact, I didn't like grapefruit until I ate it down there, and I loved it. Man, it's sweet, especially those ruby reds. JJ, I'm telling you, man, get you some good fresh ones. You don't know, I hated grapefruits until I tasted them fresh, but they are good. They're sweet as can be. Diet brandy. Yeah, yeah. Bless you, huh? Did y'all hear that little sneeze? She's been sick for 2 weeks. Bless her heart. Oh, you're fine, honey. Is it getting red? Oh shit! I forgot to put my face back up there. Yeah, it'd probably be best to leave it off there. Wouldn't it? I thought you was working. You better not be drinking at work. Are you out of here, brother? Well, I appreciate you stopping in. If you're out, if not, if you're just thinking this, that's cool. I enjoy hanging out with everybody every weekend too. I look forward to it. A lot of times when I'm sick, I'll get on here and it just makes me feel better. Damn moths! I don't know where the hell. I know where the fruit flies come from, but the damn moss is a mystery. Yeah, you got moderate. It's not as bad as what you think, but yeah, it's you definitely want your oyster shells when you're dealing with some citrus. Is that tonight? Wow, wow. Breaking news. Hey, babe. Hold on a minute. I'm gonna holler, so I'm gonna mute this mic here. Let me see how to do that. Well, there used to be a damn button. Where in the hell is it? Lord have mercy on us. Yeah, there used to be a button right here. Oh, it's hidden by that comment. Damn it. Let's see. Mute. Mute. Okay. All right, I'm back. Had to get her to turn on the news so we can hear what the hell's going on. Another assassination attempt, I guess. It's funny how some of these people are. Turn it down a little bit. Turn it down, babe. Tell her 10 times, turn it down. That's crazy, man. I don't care how much you like or dislike a politician, but that's crazy. I blame the media too, trying to get people wound up, and a lot of congressmen. You put a target on him, yeah, and all this stuff, man. I don't want to get political, man, but I get pretty pissed off about this shit. You don't want to hear me get pissed off when it comes to that. Yeah, we appreciate having you around, man. Oshin, he thinks outside the box. That's one thing I like. I mean, he's a lot like me when I was younger. That's how I came up with that bypass and doing other things, just thinking outside the box. Well, I wonder what happened if I did this and that. He's come up with some pretty interesting setups and a lot of cool stuff. Good to have you around, brother. Yeah, definitely keep. He learned that about the hard way. He about burned himself up. So we gonna. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy, and I blame a lot of politicians too. Everything's become so polarized. Used to we'd be able to talk about politics and drink a beer and laugh and go on about our day and stuff, but nowadays, man, you can't talk about it, and people like unfriending you. I'll never talk to you again, and all this stuff just because I voted for somebody else. They got people all wound up about it, but yeah, and I don't know that I gave Biden credit for a lot of things because he didn't do a lot of things good. But Obama, I mean, I'd voted for him. I used to be a Democrat until things started changing so much. Um, but yeah, I noticed it. Started to notice it really in Obama's second term. How he kind of changed, and then once Trump started running, man, it just went crazy. Everybody started getting on the bandwagon against him, and they started drumming up all this hate and they loved him until he became a politician. And I don't know, and I see a lot more hate from one side than the other, and I'm not going to name names and which side, and don't really want to get into the politic thing. We don't usually do it on here, but I just don't understand how quickly things, have spun out of control over nothing really. Yeah, yeah, I agree, Mike. Yeah, yeah, used to everybody wasn't all into it. Everybody's like, okay, after election day, it's done. They're going to do what they're going to do, and it wasn't so bad. But nowadays, man, there's so much corruption going on, and you know, now I'm not picking sides, but this, I think his name's Mike Shirley or something like that. This guy that started online, so he's going to do some investigative journalism. He went up there to Milwaukee and found a lot of fraud, a whole lot of fraud, hundreds of millions of dollars in fraud, billions in fraud. And, that's our tax dollars that they're wasting and people are siphoning off and Somali people and other stuff, stealing from us. So he decided he's going to go out to California and do the same thing. He's starting to uncover a lot of fraud out there, and they're skimming money from us taxpayers. Taxpayers should be pissed off whether you're a Democrat or Republican. If you pay taxes, you should be pissed off. And it's funny that if it was a Republican stealing the money, Democrats are all pissed off. If it's a Democrat stealing the money, the Republicans are all pissed off. But everybody should be pissed off regardless of who's stealing the damn money, right? But now it has to be the other party doing it, or they don't get mad. That's just silly. But them talking about making a bill to where you can't do investigative journalism like that and can't investigate fraud like he's doing, that's going against our First Amendment right. And the Attorney General out there, um, his wife is one of the ones that brought the suit, and he's Attorney General, and he's the one supposed to be investigating the fraud, and she's bringing the suit to get rid of the investigating fraud. It's crazy, man. It's a crazy world we're in right now. I don't recognize it, but I think we can all do better. Did he do that? That's good. But I'll give credit where it's due. Yeah, a lot of the NGOs, non-government organizations, are getting a lot of money from taxes, and they haven't been followed up on. The GAO haven't hasn't really followed up on them and watched and found where they're doing with all this money they're being given, and a lot of it's getting funneled back to politicians that got them the money in the first place. So that's kind of like money laundering, is it not? You know, get a little kickback for getting you 100 million, and you give me 20 million kickback for getting it for you, and then I use that to try to help get elected and pad, and all of a sudden I went from earning 300 million back to less than 100,000. How in the hell you do that? And all of a sudden dissolve that wine company that you had for the last so many years that was doing so well, making millions, and that Ilian Omar man doing that. It's just crazy, man. It's just blatant in your face fraud and theft, and nobody does anything. Both sides protect each other. I agree with what Philbilly said the other day. Both sides protect each other. You hear a lot about court cases. Oh, we're going to do this. A lot of heads are going to roll and all this. Have you seen anybody going to jail yet? And you probably won't. They're just playing the game on both sides, and they laugh their ass off when the cameras are off, and they're both taking it to the bank. Yeah, it's not good. We don't talk about politics much on here, but that did kind of get me fired up, man. I try to make this a place where it doesn't have it, because it seems like everywhere you go online these days, they're all talking about it. It's all they talk about. You couldn't talk about making a pickle without somebody bringing Trump or Biden or somebody into it. So I'm gonna eliminate that here. Let's get back talking about that. I'm sorry, but hearing about that assassin attempt, man, that gets me fired up. I can't stand it. And it's a lot of foreign entities too that want to change the way America is, because we rule and they don't like it, and they're going to try to change us, and they got a lot of politicians bought off, and they're going along with it. It's treason, so it is. But it's okay. No, Mike, you're fine, brother. But let's get back to drinking and talking about our other things. We'll try to save the world some other day on some other channel. We talked about doing a politics thing, but it seems like these days when you do, it's some people love it and some people hate it, and you just divide yourself. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to. We got people in here that are Democrats. We got people in here Republicans, and I don't care how you vote. That's your business. I don't care what you believe. That's your business. And Hunter, I'll fight for your right to believe any way you want to believe, man. That's what makes this country great. So let's get back to drinking and talking about making liquor. Maybe making our liquor legal. Yeah, we can talk about that. I'll talk to politicians about making America shine again. Maybe we get Trump behind that. Hell, he's going to declassify marijuana this week sometime. This next week, supposed to declassify it and get it to where they can do a lot more research on it without having to jump through so many hoops. So that'll be great. I don't know, Massa. I don't know, man. They might take it somewhere. Make America distill again. They're matter. Yeah. But yeah, we do need to make America shine again, man. More ways than one, figuratively, metaphorically. Yeah, it did to me too, Mike. After I said, no, that don't sound right. What is in this jar is Joe Swishtalk's Red, White, Blue. Old Boston, or I guess patriotic shine. Red corn, white corn, blue corn. Jimmy Red, and I think Ohio Blue with some white mixed. It's really good. Really good. But the other I was drinking is a multi-grain Derek's actually, the other I was drinking was a 50-50 multigrain of Derek's multigrain and Joe's red, white, and blue mixed together. It's really good. They bottled, they barreled up some at Wes's birthday party this spring, and we're going to let that age a year or two and have another hort, I guess, of it in a year or two. Is an all corn mash better tasting than a corn and sugar? Absolutely is. Yeah, definitely. When you do the conversion process, propane, um, the sugars, the way they convert, it's a lot softer, and it makes a lot smoother. I just had shots, GW. Try to get me drunk. Damn you. You want to see my nose get red, don't you? Along with my neck. They both get pretty damn red when I get fired up. But yeah, the way the sugars are, when you do the conversion, it's so much smoother as a glucose molecule that's derived straight from the corn, that's closer to a dextrose in a single molecule of glucose versus a fructose, which is a sucrose, which is a fructose glucose molecule bond together. So you'll have table sugar is called sucrose, and that's a disaccharide of fructose and sucrose bonded together with a glycosidic bond. So it's a disaccharide. That's a lot hotter than just a monosaccharide of glucose derived from the corn itself. It's a lot smoother. So when you do an all grain run like that and convert just the starches to sugar, it's just somehow the way it's done molecularly, and it's so much smoother. It's a lot smoother and less hot than if you do the cornmeal and sugar. And there's nothing wrong with cornmeal and sugar. I did it that way for a long, long, long time, and that makes some okay liquor. But yeah, it's considerably smoother when you do the grain conversion for sure. Yeah, man, red, white, and blue corn. It is cheaper than using sugars. Yeah, Clint's right. It's a lot cheaper to source all the sugars from that yellow dent corn than to. Now this is Joe Swishstocks, not mine. This is Joe Swishstocks and Derek's, but Derek Thompson. But I have done quite a few sour mashes. I also tried to do the rum dunder pit. It got pretty nasty. I had to get rid of that thing. I just don't have a place for that. It was pretty bad. Jimmy Red, and Ohio Blue, and the Ohio Blue that he had was mixed with, it was white and blue mixed together. I guess cross pollinated a little bit in the field there, and it got a white and a blue corn mix, and he just used that with some red corn, and it's real good. Man, has such a good sweet aftertaste. Man, it's unbelievable. Really good. Almost as good as mine. No, most time you'll get a good conversion or not, and they just don't ferment. But I don't think it takes away from the product. I think it actually might give it a little sweetness that doesn't get, a lot of times if you ferment and you ferment dry, meaning you ferment all the sugars out and to where there's none left and it gets kind of dry, that will carry over, and that dryness carries over. So a way to prevent that, a lot of times people will cut their mash short right before it gets to 1.000. They'll cut it and they'll run it immediately because they want a little bit of that sweetness to retain and to so it won't have that dry flavor, because dryness definitely carries over into distillation. About 2.25 is a good easy work, and you can get a little bit more. You can do 2.5 to 3. I used to do 3 because I did the powder amylase and I wasn't getting real good conversions, so I'd add more corn to get more starch, more conversion. But now that I'm using the high temp amylase and I get really good, solid, high percentage conversions, I use about 2.25. And that's just all grains. So if I'm using multi grains, I still limit it to about two and a quarter of all the grains per gallon of water. But definitely get you some of, some of that high temp alpha amylase and that liquid glucose. Got hiccups. Yeah, Chris likes to invert his sugar. Now that helps a lot. Basically, when you invert your sugar, you're taking that sucrose, so you're breaking that glycosidic bond, but using acid, citric acid or lemon juice, whatever, in the water and the boiling, and you have to do it at 237 degrees exact, and it'll break that bond, that glycosidic bond, and it'll turn a disaccharide into monosaccharide. So you have one glucose molecule and one fructose molecule, and your yeast can consume that quite easily and readily, and it doesn't stress them at all to eat it. So that's another thing that causes a little bit of stress when you use sugars, is it stresses the yeast out to eat that disaccharide. They definitely prefer a monosaccharide. So inverting the sugar breaks that bond and creates more monosaccharides, but definitely don't let it caramelize, because if you let it caramelize, you're actually creating a more complex sugar, right? So you're creating oligosaccharides out of it. So you definitely don't want to let it go that far. Yeah, we can get drunk together, brother. That's right. Yeah, between two and a half, two and a quarter, probably about the sweet spot for me. Yeah, Flint, popcorn. I've used about all kinds of corn. I haven't done the Oaxacan green. I want to definitely try that, and the Argentine orange. I haven't done them, so that's something I'm gonna try to, if I can get it cheap. I ain't gonna pay a whole lot for it. Yeah, yeah, it's a lot cheaper to get sugars from the corn. That's why all these fuel, all these places that make fuel, ethanol fuel, they get it from yellow dick corn, field corn, because it's so much cheaper. I mean, you couldn't own a sugar cane. It's just it's too expensive to do it with sugar. Corn sugars, right now in your mash, yeah, it actually the yeah, it does taste sweeter. Now I'll tell you something. A lot of these bakers use, and a lot of these confectioners that make a lot of pastries and stuff. That's where I got my recipe for inverted sugar. Inverted sugar is the sweetest. It's sweeter than regular sucrose. And once they invert it, they use that a lot to create a lot of their pastries, their fillings and their glazes and all that stuff. It does a lot, and you'll see it in your simple syrup. A lot of your bartenders will use it as well because it's a lot sweeter. Yeah, huge difference, man. Sugar ain't cheap, and the sugar you get is beet sugar, which they say is a little hotter than even cane sugar. So yes, I do ferment on the grain. Yep, yep. And I make my wine on the fruit and ferment on the fruit as well. So a lot of beer makers don't. With beer making, it's a little bit different than mash making, because you're drinking the mash, and when you distill, or when you ferment off the grain with your beers and stuff, you worry less about protein hazes and getting a hazy, because you want a nice clear look. Most of them, just like a lot of people like a good clear sun. Well, beer makers want it to be kind of clear. They don't want a milky beer, right? And to cut down on proteins and haze, a lot of times they won't ferment on the grain. They'll get everything they need out of the grain, because they don't need a lot of alcohol for a beer. So once they get all the alcohol they need, they just go ahead and separate the grain from the ferment and go ahead and finish fermenting off the grain. Right, right. And use the cob, you know, corn cob wine and using the cob as well. Grind it all up and, get you one of those grinders that are rated for, you see a lot of these grain mills and some of them rated for just dry grains and some of them are wet or dry. A lot of the wet ones can do rice, soy, and other stuff, beans, soybeans, and other things. You can grind them all up and do wet. Again, with cobs, you can do just grind up a regular corn cob, fresh sweet corn, and do that route and try doing it that way. I think mine's wet. It's a different. You have to take off your grinding wheels and you put on a different type wheel. Terrible in a good way. I'm glad you got in today, brother. I'm a fat fuck too, GW. I'm getting old. We were talking about that the other day. A buddy of mine was talking about he's younger. He's talking about going to the gym, getting all jacked up. And I'm like, yeah, I used to go to the gym and get jacked up when I played football. But, when you start getting older, you get jilled up. You start getting bigger titties and your belly you get soft. So you go from getting jacked up to jilled up, I guess, when you get old. Man, it's sad, isn't it? Hello, Miss Tammy. Good to see you. Hope your hip's doing well, darling. Yeah, everybody around here, we went through a little stage of Goldschlager and Rumpa Mints. I like to let Rumpa Mints. I drink shit out of that. I went to jail on that quite a few times, but Jagermeister, yeah. Yeah, I never been a big coffee drinker. I like coffee shine though. Mark Morgan makes some damn good coffee shine. I drink shit out of that. I drink about a quart and almost a quart in about 3 or 4 hours. That's after about half a quart or a quart that day. I was pretty hammered that night, but that's some good shine. But I've probably drank 12 cups of coffee in my life. I've never been a coffee drinker. When I was young, I saw how my parents were and other people were, and they had to have their coffee. They was all grumpy and pissed at the world and mad, and then they get that coffee and then they'd be all right. Like, damn, I just need weed for that. I don't need. I just smoke big fatty, and I'll get that. I don't need another cup of coffee. Everybody's got their own way of doing it to their own calmness, I guess. Take them to their happy place. Yeah, man, we used to. I'm not even gonna talk about things we used to do, man. I guess I get Philbilly banned on Facebook again. Oh shit! I can tell some stories though. Come hang out, camp with us, and sit around the campfire. And we'll talk about some old stories, man. I can tell you some stories. I did a lot of partying when I was younger. I partied a lot with some rock bands and stuff. A lot of famous people, man. I was pretty wild when I was younger. I was a hippie. Corn cob jelly tastes like crap. Yeah, they make that corn cob wine too. I guess when you get that pour, man, you do what you can do, and that's basically who made that corn cob jelly and that corn cob wine back in the day was, they didn't want anything to go to waste. So if they didn't wipe their ass with it, they'd make jelly with it, right? I mean, you got to use everything you got back in those days, man. But yeah, people don't know it, but they dry out corn cobs, use them like toilet paper, man. I guess it beat leaves, huh? People don't realize just 100 years ago how tough and how far removed we are from that. A lot of people grew up in the city and don't know, but people grew up in the country, man, back in the turn of the century before and during the Depression. Had it pretty rough, bro. I grew up in a pretty economically depressed area and I seen it, firsthand. You know, a lot of poverty back where I grew up. I wouldn't doubt it. I don't mind a little deer blood. I've had deer blood before. Oh, it reminds me, I need to get my elk permit in so I can hunt some elk. I got to get into lotto. I got a few days to do it. I'll have to do it tomorrow. I'm glad you mentioned deer. It made me think about that. Yeah, I used to drink a lot of that Rumpelmints. I like that minty stuff. I drank a lot of Jagermeister too. Didn't drink a lot of Goldschlaw. I was weary about, you know, you putting that metal flake on your liver and on your in your system, and you know, I don't think it filters out too well. I was always worried about putting that in my body. Have you been? You know, Ann's been sick for 2 weeks now. I'm getting a little bit. Excuse me. I know that's probably pretty loud. I'm sorry. There's how you mute it quick. Turn that camera on and off real quick down there. I don't know why I didn't see that. Yeah, the tannins. That's what you get the wood chips. The finer the wood, the more tannins you get out of it. So you get that color. And if color is what you're looking for, it's awful pretty. But the tannins are bitter, and they're not real. They're not real good. Along with the character of the wood. So that's really what you want is that char and character of the wood more than just the tannins. But I've seen people use that miner's beard, and it's basically almost like sawdust, and you drop it in the shine, and it immediately turns. You can see the color coming off that wood. That's just pure tannins, man. That's not good, not good at all. But the staves, they're big solid pieces, and those spirals do pretty good, but it takes a little longer. So the faster you do it, the worse it's going to taste. So the finer the wood, the smaller the pieces, the more tannins you're going to get, and the more bitter it's going to be. And the larger the wood, the longer it's going to take, but the less tannins and more character you get, the better it's going to be. I like taking those staves and I clean the gray off that backside. I sand all that off, and I'll take this MAP gas and I'll char the shit out of it with MAP gas and char all sides of it, and then just run it under some water, make sure it's all put out, and I'll drop that right in a quart of liquor, and it does pretty good. It takes long though; it'll take a month. It's slower than if you're using the chips or the spirals. It's less surface area, but does a little better. Yeah, you follow up that white one to make sure if that red one didn't make it bleed, huh? I guess that corn probably pretty damn rough on an ass, man. It's like wiping the ass with sandpaper, I'd imagine. I ain't never done it. And a lot of times, too, back in the old days, they'd use, back in the old days, Sears and Roebuck would put out a catalog about that thick every year. And they'd have the wish book, where kids would pick their toys and stuff, and people would get, a big, thick catalog. And they put that in the bathroom, man. They'd tear off a sheet and wipe their ass with that. Fact. I also seen a house, a cabin that they'd take that newspaper and tack it to the wall. They'd wash the wall down and get it wet, and they'd just kind of paper mache newspapers to the wall to help insulate. And you go into a house and they'd have that thick a newspaper on the walls from insulation to seal the cracks in the cabins and stuff, man. I've seen pretty extreme poverty. And it was some of them newspapers from the 20s and 30s, man. It goes way back. Deeper layer you peeled back, the older it was. Do you? I'm gonna go rifle, man. But they do have a bow season. Probably be easier to get one, a permit because fewer people apply. but it's $10. So you go $10 for a bull, $10 for a cow, and another 10 if you want to enter the bow. So that's 30. I've done $20 a year for many years. I've got hundreds of dollars invested and ain't never got picked. So damn, I've already paid for an elk. I just need to get a chance to go now. Yeah, you do all kinds of shit with them corn cobs. What's going on, DW? Good to see you, brother. Not much, man. Just sitting here chilling out, getting hammered, getting drunk. What are you up to? Mullen? Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I grew up in Eastern Kentucky, bro. You talk about poverty, man. I seen cobbled up shacks, just man, poor as it can be. You see a lot of pictures from the 20s and 30s, and you know, it's that way in the 60s, 70s, and 80s where I grew up. They were many years behind times. All right, serious question. Does a good cider or wine always make a good? No, no, not necessarily. Nope. You can fuck it up. You can fuck up a good wine or cider and uh, and it not carry over at all, and it just tastes like neutral or nothing, not good at all. And you can take a wine that's not all that great and make a good decent brandy out of it. So go figure. But I will say infusing helps a lot. So if you can add an infuser, you can definitely uh, increase your chances of coming out with something really good. I agree, JJ. There's a lot of wines that I refuse to distill because they taste damn good as a wine. But I've distilled quite a few bad wines and made decent brandies out of them. That's right. Yep, that's right. And if you use an infuser too, it can help take a average or not good wine and make a decent brandy out of it. Yeah, I like it. Chris Palin, the philosopher. Make the wine fine before the fine shine. He's a poet and don't know it. But yeah, an infuser, O'Sheen should probably be the next thing you build a good copper infuser. Holler at me and I'll give you some good plans for them or ideas. Well, just get a bigger bucket and put, and get you got that storage building outside. Just get you a big old, 50-gallon HDPE barrel and start fermenting in that. You're in the buckets. Use those buckets to catch you ground up grains. Put them. Yeah, man. I know a lot of people back home had courthouses. A lot of people never heard of a courthouse, but not court, CORD. It's called a courthouse, and they basically take wood and either split or round, and they stack it like bricks, and they'd use mud all around it or mortar, and and pack it in, make a wall out of chopped up wood, and ever how thick you wanted it, 6 inch, 12 inch, and make a courthouse. Best use mortar though instead of mud. They call it thatch, JJ. Wattle and daub. Yep. Yep. Sawdust used a lot. Yes, sir. I mean, leaves, anything that'll pack it in. You crumble up leaves and make decent insulation. But it seems like it's such a, all this stuff that they use, all the paper and everything made all those old houses. That's why when they catch fire, they go up and just in 5 minutes, the house is gone. Because they had all that kind of stuff in there, all that kind of insulation, paper, and they go up pretty quick. Yeah, they still use sod over there for roofing too. Pretty interesting. You imagine have to mow your damn roof. Shit, I'm mowing up, man. I can't imagine getting up there and have to mow. But there's a lot of underground houses too. I think it's cool. Yeah. Put your goats up there. Yeah. Put the goats up on the roof. Put the little lambs up there. Let them roam around and eat. There's some groundhogs up there. I noticed I got one in the damn yard and that. Hell, I got a damn zoo here. We look outside today. I seen a squirrel, 4 ducks, groundhog, rabbits. I'm in the dead middle of town in the city. Yeah. Up in the mountains, the wind doesn't get too bad, And I mean, when it does, it goes from you get a tornado in them mountains, man. They don't want to come out. It'll just go from hill to hill and wipe out the whole valley. Just scissor all the way up the damn valley. But they don't usually drop in there. But when they do, they wreck some hell. R36, that's pretty damn good, bro. Is it? You can have that damn whistle pig. Come and get it. Yeah, I know. Groundhog's pretty good eating, they say. Yeah, I probably ate one, didn't even know it growing up. Old Granny liked them, didn't she? Old Granny Clampett. One of her favorites. That whistle pig bourbon's pretty damn whiskey or whatever is pretty damn good too. They make it here in Kentucky. Damn good stuff. Old whistle pig. Yeah, I've got most of mine's brick. It's that brown brick. It's and then I got above my garage. It's got some frame above the garage area, but most of it's brick. Yeah, but it's got some pretty decent insulation in it. They put some foam, whereas they don't do that much anymore. They just leave a dead airspace, but they put that foam in there and in between the sheathing and the brick, and it's got fair insulation. It's better than my old house. I do need to put some more in the attic. A trivia there from Clint. Daisy Mae Moses. Ellie Mae and Daisy Mae. No, I didn't see your question. Let me scroll back. I'm sorry. I would say if you boil it, then probably okay. But if you don't, no. Actually, there's a lot more bacteria in rainwater than you'll have in your city water. With your city water, you got to deal with the chlorine and the chloramine. Well water would probably maybe be the best, or it could be the worst. If it's got a lot of iron in it, it could be the worst of the three. So it really depends. I have a lot of water issues. Good fresh spring would be the best, but always take it in, get it tested, uh, and boil it. You're boiling it so you can make your own distilled water. But boiling rainwater will kill all your bacteria off, and if you got some method of mechanically filtering it, pouring it through one of those motor home filters or whatever would be good. Remove most of the particles. City water in a lot of places is fine, but it's got chloramine. If it's just chlorine, it's easy to get chlorine out. You can degas that in a couple of days. You can have most of the chlorine gone, but chloramine is pretty tough. Yep. Then you got all them chemtrails Chris talking about. There's a lot of stuff in the atmosphere and stuff that may not be beneficial. I don't know. They're saying aluminum, a lot of aluminum oxides and stuff. I've not done any testing or know much about it, but um, I'd say if you could find some good spring water, that'd be good. Uh, find out on your city water if they use chloramine or just chlorine. Most places are using chloramine now, so that's pretty tough to get out. But if you run it through a good filter and boil it, probably going to have pretty decent water. Excuse me. If you run it through a reverse osmosis, that'll take everything out, which is okay, but you want to have some mineralization in there. So you can add back some minerals when you throw the oyster shells in there. That's putting some calcium back in there that you get from, limestone type water. You can throw some gypsum in there. You can throw some lime in there, hydrated lime, and get a little bit of lime. Not a lot, not enough, to hurt you or anything, but just a little bit, pinch in there, and it'll help things out a lot. Whistle pig. And them old groundhogs like to whistle when they talk. All right, brother. You have a good night and a good rest of your weekend too. We're not too far gone. We'll be out here in a little bit. Yeah, I have too. Yeah, my aunt made the best squirrel gravy ever. I took her some squirrel once. I'd always heard that Aunt Faye made the best squirrel gravy. Aunt Faye Sharp made the best squirrel gravy. Bless her soul. She's no longer with us. She was my great aunt, but she was a call at one time, and that's how one of my relatives to the Willie Clay call. Um, my grandmother was a call before she got married, but yeah, the squirrel's a little greasy, a little acquired taste. If I was definitely living off the grid or living on the land, I'd eat it, no problem at all. But I definitely prefer rabbit and other things to it, and deer and other things. Other meat I'd definitely prefer, but it's not bad. It just wouldn't be my choice. But she made pretty good gravy with it. Pretty good on some biscuits. I'm looking forward to trying to get an elk. I got to get my name in on that. Red garden hose. That's kind of a joke going around. But there's a lot of commercial places that use the old red garden hose. But yeah, they make a filter for a motor home. That's a pretty good filter to remove a lot of sediments and chemicals and stuff. It's not a reverse osmosis, so it's not going to do that much, but it's probably better than a Brita, right? So you're kind of somewhere in between. And you can it'll attach in line with a hose or that type fitting. So it's pretty easy to integrate. Yeah, no more playing with fire, O'Shane. What's going on, Kevin? Good to see you, brother. Well, I'm gonna have to go catch this news. I guess we're getting a little bit slower, and I'm gonna have to have me another shot and call her a night and go get caught up on the latest assassination attempt. What the hell this world's coming to? You know, we got a lot worse. If you want to assassinate, go out there and take out some. No, I ain't gonna say that. Uh, yeah, take out the enemy, the real enemy, right? The ones that want to come over here and kill us all. That's the ones we should be focused on. And they ain't hiding it either. They'll sit there and tell you. They will sit there and tell you exactly what they got planned. Not hiding it at all. Shit, you good, brother? I appreciate everybody coming in and having a drink with me and hanging out. Had a few new people tonight. That's always good to see. Hopefully, didn't scare anybody off with our politic talk. We usually don't do that, but after the news tonight, I guess we gotta. Sometimes you just can't avoid it, but I try not to do that on here, and I don't want people thinking this is a place that's all we do. We don't. Um, we try to pretty much stay on topic, and I know it's everywhere you go, you run into that, and I don't want this to be that way because it bothers me. I can't stand it, going into a group that's supposed to be about, for example, food recipes, and they're talking about how to make a pickle, best ways to, use spices and salts and stuff to make you pickling lime and all this. And they say, somehow in the hell Trump or Biden or somebody ends up in the conversation. It's like, where in the hell did that come from, man? Why can't we just talk about food? But yeah, it's good seeing everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I'm glad to have you, brother. Hey, we're here every Tuesday and Saturday, 8 Eastern. Come join us. Bring you a jar if you like to drink a little bit. Bring you a bottle. Come in, join the fun, and it's a great hobby. We can help you get started. We can definitely steer you in the right direction, save you a lot of time and money and mistakes. And, it's definitely where a lot of money comes into play. A lot of people spend a lot of money on something and they find out that they're probably not the best way to go. And there's some economical ways that you can kind of pinch and save, which what I grew up on, pinching every dollar. And so it was good seeing everybody and great seeing some of these newcomers here in the end, chime in there. And yeah, yeah. And we'll see everybody Tuesday, 8 Eastern. And if you got some questions, read up on the hobby. Join the group here. You can see on the little flashing scrolling thing I built for us. Come to Facebook, join DIY Shine and Steel Building. Me and Clint's there, and I'm admin there. Clint moderates and ask your questions there. If we're not live, we can help you there. It might take a little while to get to you, but we will definitely get to you. But if you can join us here live, we love having people here and ask you questions and no, there's no stupid questions. So a lot of groups where you ask stuff. There's a lot of groups out there, and in some of them, when you ask questions, they sit there and they just run you through the mill, man. They call you everything but a milk cow, make fun of you, and it pisses me off because it's the same people that was asking me questions, 2 or 3 years ago, and people are asking the same questions they did, and all of a sudden, just because they've learned a little bit now, they get all uppity and start, belittling people for asking the same questions. And last I checked, I don't think any of us was born with this knowledge. So you got to get your answers somewhere. And this is a damn good place to get your answers. You won't get a lot of bullshit, a lot of wrong. You won't get misled. So thanks for tuning in. Love having y'all here. Tell us if you got some friends that you want to start the hobby with and, want to get your buddies involved and you got hunting buddies and drinking buddies, share the word and we can all get y'all going, distilling and making your own product at home. And it's a lot of fun, and you'll be really surprised at how good a liquor you can make at home. It's amazing. Wine and whiskey, both. You'll amaze yourself and your friends with how good it is. So it's great seeing everybody, and tune in. Have a great rest of your weekend, but tune in Tuesday and we'll pick up there where we left off tonight. And hopefully we can get some more newcomers in here and asking some questions, and maybe I got one new potential distiller tonight. They're going to go legit. So the more of those we can get, the better. I love hearing the success stories of people that we've helped get started in the business, and on the commercial legal side too. So enjoyed having everybody here. Good to see Gary. So we will see everybody Tuesday night at 8. Till then, have a great weekend. Shine on. Peace out. Love y'all. See you then.